and you're offering me a drug that wants to make all of that worse. And I said, how can you do that to me? And I said, you're going to kill me.
Lash, how did you find carnivore?
So it was very, very crazy how carnivore came to me. Yeah, so I had been suffering from psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis, depression, chronic pain, itching, bleeding, all the things that come along with the psoriasis part, for about 30 years of my life. And the last the last bit of it, so I'd say the last 8 to 10 years, I really tried with food to fix it, because I stopped going to the doctors and I'd stopped taking all the medicines. So with food, I read a bunch of these books about psoriasis and how you can get rid of it and what you need to eat. And it was basically vegetables, beans, um, chicken, fish, and there was definitely oils in there that weren't helping me. So yeah, I was doing a lot of raw vegetables, a lot of green juice, a lot of that stuff to try and fix it on my own, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I think it was actually better on the standard American diet compared to the vegetables and the juice, maybe. I'm not sure, but so yeah, it kept getting worse. So I went back to the doctors, probably about 5 years ago, and wanted to see maybe there's something new that isn't so harmful to my body that I could try, because the steroid creams and the biologics and the immune suppressant drugs I wasn't a fan of at all. So going to the doctors, they kept trying to give me the same stuff. Here's more steroid creams. Here's we want you to try this Humira. We want you to try these immune suppressants. And I just said no, and I don't want to do this. And let me try the UV light therapy again. And even that wasn't helping me at all. Nothing. And it just kept getting worse. And I was miserable. My life was absolutely miserable at that point. So about 2.5 years ago, my last visit to the dermatologist, he hands me two needles and he says, I want you to try this today. I said, what is that? And he said, well, you take these two injections and you shove them in your stomach and you do it every, couple weeks or so for the rest of your life. I said, really? What are the side effects? And yeah, so he starts going to the list, and suicidal thoughts and a bunch of stuff like that came up. And I said, Doc, I said, I've been suicidal my entire life. The thoughts, I can't control them. I said, they're there every day. And I'm depressed, and you've known this, and you're offering me a drug that wants to make all of that worse. And I said, how can you do that to me? And I said, you're going to kill me. And he just looked at me with these big, like, open eyes. And I was like, I'm not going to let you kill me today. And I said, I'll go home and I'm going to do it myself. I'm done with this. I've had enough. I don't want to be on drugs the rest of my life. I don't want to live in this condition the rest of my life. I'm over it. So I went home, and I was preparing my world to end it and to take off. And somehow that same afternoon, Michaela Peterson's TED Talk came across my phone, and it captivated me, and I couldn't stop watching. And yeah, so I uh, I decided not to and to give that a try, because I kind of missed meat. And I kind of was like, well, I liked meat when I wasn't supposed to eat it, and I always, wanted to grab a piece of it when it was around, and I wasn't really supposed to have it. So I'm going to try this meat thing. And so slowly, well, I talked to my mom after that, and she suggested fasting while I was cutting out all the foods and eliminating. So I basically started with an elimination diet and fasting, and that led to carnivore. And then I went strict carnivore, and I was starting to finally heal, and I was seeing changes, and the itching was stopping, and all these amazing things were happening. I was losing weight, and I was less pain and less stiffness, and I was on a roll until the I guess the holiday season of 23. I kind of relapsed. I was alone. I was lonely, and it was really hard going through this alone without having someone next to you. You know, constantly telling you, "Look, this is what you got to do. You know, don't fall off this wagon. It's helping. Like, you know, I can see it's helping." So I didn't have that, and I needed that, and so I fell off the wagon really bad for that holiday season, and things got worse and worse, and depression came back, uh, suicidal thoughts came back, everything came back in just an awful way. And so January 1st of 2024, I said, I'm going to do the lion, just go full lion, forget about carnivore, forget about everything else, and really give this lion thing the full go. And within 7 days, my life had changed completely. I was almost clear. My skin, my brain fog was 100% gone. My depression was gone. Suicidal thoughts completely gone. Yeah, so from that point on, I've been strictly lying, and I've never felt better in my life. I can sleep for the first time in 30 years through the night. I never got more than a couple hours of sleep before this. Um, yeah, I can actually enjoy a full day of life for the first time, and so yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and it's the most amazing healing miracle, and I'm trying to scream it off the mountaintops and to tell the entire world that, you know, you don't have to suffer, you don't have to live like that, and there is a cure. There really is.
So, oh, well, firstly, congratulations. But just to dig into it a little bit, like, the visually, did you see things changing very quickly?
After going lion, for sure, like extremely quickly. Now during the carnivore experiment and the fasting, it probably went from say 90 plus percent of my body coverage as far as my skin goes, to like 50%, 40%. So it definitely was working and disappearing. And as the pain was also dropping, but not as significantly. And then after the whole relapse thing, and then going lion, the pain and everything was more rapid as far as the disappearance of it. So yeah, really much faster when I eliminated dairy. I believe that was one of the huge things for me. That was definitely causing inflammation in my body, was dairy. So yeah, after getting just doing beef, basically beef, salt, water, yeah, much better.
After dealing with this for 30 years, it must have been a bit of a shock to just and taking so many medications and being offered so many others, it must have been a bit of a shock for you to feel like this is something you can just turn on and turn off?
Yeah, beyond shocking. Like, um, to the point where I was so mad and angry at the entire system in place of how people are fed and then how people get sick from that food, and then how they go to a doctor and they get medicine so that they can eat the same food and not feel as sick, but still be sick, but your symptoms are a little better. And, the whole thing's just a big circle of money, and everyone's making money off of all of our sickness. And it doesn't need to be this way at all. And it angered the hell out of me for quite some time until I channeled that anger into other ways. But yeah.
Yeah. Um, so like for you now, the feeling of that depressiveness that you've lived under for so long, that's lifted. You just feel like, okay, the future's open now.
it's it's a whole new world. I never thought of a future. So, I didn't save for a future. I didn't plan for a future. I didn't try and get married and have kids. I didn't see a future because I knew that one day I was myself. I knew that one day the pain was going to get to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. And so I didn't plan for a future. I tried to get through each day and make something happen with my life, and do something productive, and continue with my photography career and my music career, and my regular day jobs. And I pushed through and I pushed through, and so many times where I just felt that I couldn't do it anymore. And every night I prayed to let me just feel what it's like to be normal for one day. I just want one day in like a normal person's body. Somebody without pain, somebody without skin disease. I just wanted that. And now I have it, and it's the most amazing miracle gift that anyone could get. Like, life is life is a trillion times better. I don't even know how. I don't know how to explain it. I just it's going from being in a hell prison to being free. And that's, yeah.
So, how old are you now, Lash?
I'm 49.
Right. So this has been a problem for around 30 years. So do you remember the times before this started?
Absolutely. I went through a lot of crazy stuff as a child. A lot of trauma, and then college was cool. Went to photography college, and that was fun. I had a good time, and that was like a great time in my life. And then right after college is when like I got diagnosed with this, and it all started getting worse. But like throughout my like teenage years, I had joint pain. I had like lower back, lots of lower back pain, shoulder pain, wrist pains, knee pain. And I just thought it was because I was mountain biking and snowboarding and skateboarding and bodyboarding, and doing all these, different extreme type sports. But it was arthritis. It was the onset of the arthritis. Um, and, psoriatic arthritis is degenerative disease, an autoimmune condition. And, they claim so much that there's nothing we can do to make it go away. There's nothing we can do that you're not going to be stuck with having to deal with it the rest of your life. And that's what they tell you, but they'll give you drugs that will, give you a ride on healing and not healing, and God only knows what else. But yeah, man, this life is incredible now. It's
Mhm.
incredible.
Yeah. I think the thing that strikes me the most, just from what you've said so far, is like experiencing that first night of good sleep, feeling like just give me one night where I can sleep. Um, there's nothing, as someone who has kids, there's nothing worse than when you cannot sleep when your body needs it. And I just like long term, that must have just been so damaging.
Yeah, lack of sleep was hellish. I would spasm, like it would, the pain would radiate from inside my bones, it felt like, and radiate outwards, and it would just all of a sudden and just hit you. And that was, every whatever, 20 minutes, every whatever. But even just trying to lay down and be comfortable in one position was impossible. And then, the fact that you're also, itching the crap out of yourself, because itching felt great, honestly. Like itching was the best relief that I could give myself for to get over the cause of the itch, the feel of that just nonstop covered in an itch, like you ran through a poison oak patch butt naked, and then you're cut up by razor blades, and then someone poured vinegar on you. That was that's how my skin felt.
So I imagine even at times when you got uh, like say 1 hour of solid sleep or 2 hours of solid sleep, in reality, that was because of the way the pain was coming at you. It was kind of broken anyway. And so there was nothing restful about it, right?
Right. There was no rest, and there was no break from dealing with it. And I walked around every day with this, I guess, angry look on my face, but it was pain. And people, you know, in all situations throughout my life have taken that the wrong way, because they look at me, oh, why are you always so pissed off? Why are you always so angry? And, and I would just run to like the bathroom at work and cry, because like I'm not, I'm not a bad person. I'm not angry. I'm miserable. I want to die. Like it wasn't fun, and yeah, it was hard. It was hard living like that. It really was.
Um,
Sorry.
so no, no, no problem. Um, how did you get through a day of working at that point?
I don't even know, honestly. I don't even know. Towards the end there, my boss, God bless him, he was really good about. They were good about letting me just, you know, leave early, and I would just go home and just lay in bed in pain, and just not wanting to be doing that anymore. And yeah, luckily, uh, for the last 10 years, I've had a really good boss who's understood my pain, and he's been there for me. So yeah, that's been great. That's been great having that. But yeah, it was, work days weren't easy.
So has your boss kind of also understood the recovery you've been making and been able to celebrate with you?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Most everybody that I deal with in my life has seen the crazy, change, and 99% of them are embracing, what it is, and how I did it, and not giving me a hard time about it, or not questioning it, but just really happy for me. So that's all I could ask for.
So you're doing strict lion. What does that actually look like day to day?
So yeah, my day to day is, well, once a month I go to this place that has an entire store of frozen meat, and that's all they sell. And they have really good grass fed beef from, local USA grass fed beef without hormones and antibiotics. And so once a month I go there and I pick up 45 pounds, 50 pounds of meat, which is basically half ground beef, and then half steaks, and um, like tri tips, brisket, all the other cuts. And then yeah, so I still pretty much fast. I still pretty much fast like 18 hours a day. Just because I only really feel I need to eat one big meal of meat, fatty meat a day, and that's enough for me. Um, I did try reintroducing some eggs and didn't really have any luck with that. I really can't. I've tried to introduce a few different little things in the carnivore spectrum, and I can immediately notice if it affects me. So I'm staying with the lion as much as I can, and just doing like grass fed beef, grass fed lamb, bison. I've had some elk, um, but yeah, basically beef every day, once a day, one like a pound and a half probably. Yeah, simple.
And so for the uninitiated person watching that's never tried this, right? Well, I think the first thing that would be in their mind is how can you do that every day and not get bored? How 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 can you be in a situation where you're happy without all this variety?
Well, honestly, it was hard, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy at first. It's not like you're giving up things, and I'm an addict, like by like being. I'm an addict. I was a drug addict at 16, 17 years old. Um, and I definitely was addicted to dairy, and definitely was addicted to carbs. And so for me, it was hard, and it still is. Like I'll see stuff at work, and I'll look at it and I'll go, man, love to have that. But what I tell myself every single time is nothing tastes as good as healthy feels, and that's it. And that's all I have to do, and is tell myself that. And as far as the boring part, well, like you know, there's tons of different cuts, and there's tons of different ways to cook meat, and I've learned every single way to cook meat, and every single way to cook each different cut. And it's been an amazing learning experience. I was really bad at cooking meat before. I would only use ground beef, and I would only like brown it to make like spaghetti sauce, or to make like chili or something, And so I could never get a steak and cook it because I always failed, and so I just stopped buying. I never like I'm not going to ruin a $20 piece of steak. So yeah, but I'm an expert level meat cook now.
And so, as someone who is, an air fryer aficionado, like, what's the what's the best way to actually cook a steak well?
My favorite way to cook a steak, and I get a nice big 1 pound plus ribeye. Nice. I'd like to get a pound and a halfer. Um, I do. I'll put it in my oven at 200 degrees on a rack, and I'll let it go to 125, and then I pull it out, and then I hot sear the hell out of it on a hot cast iron skillet with some tallow, and that is the perfect steak every single time. Like you slice it, it's pink inside, it's juicy. Let it rest. Always let it rest. That was one thing I had to learn was patience, and the rest is so important. 5 minutes of rest. But yeah, I think low and slow, and it's well the reverse sear method, I guess is what you call that.
Right. Yeah.
Learn that.
I think the most difficult part about that is actually the 5 minutes letting it rest, right? It's like because once you see it, it's really hard to go, "Oh, I've got," and 5 minutes is not long, but
Right. So the only thing I use my microwave for is that 5 minute timer when my steak is resting. And I just sit there and drool for sure. I'm like drooling, just waiting, and my landlord's dog is always out at my door, sitting there waiting, drooling, because the dog knows what time it is. But yeah, um, you got to do the rest.
So, do you ever get questions from people around you? Because, like, for someone who's only eating one big meal a day, for 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 people around you, it must look like You never eat. What's the story?
Yeah, well, the only people I really see on a day to day basis are the same people at my office, and they know what's going on, and yeah, so they know. I run away when they're all eating lunch, and I go hide because it's like the smells everywhere. I'm like, oh man, I miss the smell of that. I miss the smell of that. Oh man, but yeah, whatever. I just go and deal with it. It's it's a temptation for a second, but no big deal.
But you're kind of a point now where that temptation is more like a memory, but it's like, yeah, I know all the problems associated with that memory, so I'm not going there.
Exactly, exactly. I'm not gonna put myself in the painful situation again just because I want, what is it, 30 seconds of taste that you're gonna have in your mouth. It's, is it really worth it to eat a piece of someone's birthday cake and be sick for the next 2 weeks? Because that's what would happen to me. I honestly, if yeah, I'd go down, and that's what I tell myself. You're going to go down for 2 weeks minimum. One piece of birthday cake. Just don't do it. It's not worth it.
And it's so powerful when you have that realization that it is actually just mouth pleasure, and that mouth pleasure is 30 seconds or less, and then there are serious consequences.
It's the same as crack. It really is. It's there's not much difference. They'll both kill you eventually.
And how scary is it that this one's legal?
Yeah, yeah, and not only is it legal, the United States government subsidizes the corn syrup for all the beverage, the soda companies. I mean, come on. Like, they're intentionally poisoning everyone.
Yeah, and I mean, I might have my facts a little bit wrong, but isn't like when we talk about soft drinks, isn't that also somewhat subsidized in like meal programs or something?
Oh yeah, yeah, no, it's yeah, absolutely. In school programs, and our school food in this country is absurd. The school lunch program is absurd, and not only that is the government assistance for food, right? So if you're on government assistance for food, which I have been plenty of times in my life, thank God it was there when I needed it. But you can buy whatever you want. You can spend that entire card on just sugary crap and snacks, and that's what ends up happening. And it's accepted at all these little, we call them bodegas out here, little convenience stores, that sell liquor and snacks. And that's, they're accepted there. They're accepted at fast food places. you know there should be some sort of stipulation on what you should be able to spend that money on. And then, not only that, as far as like the kids baby formulas, I don't know if they're as bad as they are where you are, but it's corn syrup and seed oils. And you wonder why these children and all these levels of disease are getting younger and younger and younger and younger and younger. And here we go. Look at it. It's literally just the food, and it, it can all be fixed.
Yeah, it's like I always had this question in my mind about how come kids seem to have more allergies these days and are getting sicker these days compared to when I was at school. And then when you start realizing what's in the food, or quote unquote food, then you go, "Oh, that's why."
Yeah.
It's very straightforward actually.
It's 1 plus 1 equals 2. Yeah, the fact that they're feeding people what they're feeding them, and it's just because of profit. It all comes down to profit and greed. And the thing I hate more than anything in this world is greed. And yeah, I don't see how people, these CEOs of these companies, and how they can sleep at night. Like, how the hell you're killing people every day, and you're driving around in your Bentley not giving a crap. It's
It's
crazy.
some kind of compartmentalization that people are able to do where they can just distance themselves from the final consequences of what they're actually involved in, right?
I guess. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
no idea how you would
Or
live.
it's like some kind of, I think it must be some kind of justification about how, or like they're going, yeah, well, no one said it was, we all know it's not good, but there are so many other bad things happening. We can't blame that thing. We can't blame our thing, or something.
Right.
I guess that's how they justify it. But yeah, like it's so great that you're at this point now. I mean, where do you feel you're at in this journey? Do you feel like you're out the other side, or is there still ways to go?
Um, I I'm not gonna stop this way. I'll tell you that. And as far as my health journey, I definitely feel like there's room for me to get better still. And I definitely feel like it takes time. I was sick for so long. I'd done so much damage to my body and my gut, and so yeah, it definitely is going to take time. But like my skin is 99% free and clear, all because of what I did, and not because of what some doctor tried to do. And my pain is at like 80% gone, and I know I'm going to hit 100%, and um, yeah, so I won't stop. And my goal and my mission in life is to not stop telling the world about this. And this is why I've done. This is probably my seventh or eighth interview now, that I've done since this journey has begun. I have I have one more booked for this week. I have another one booked in Nashville with a wonderful doctor, Dr. Kiltz, uh, next Saturday. So I'm literally flying from LA to Nashville overnight, doing a podcast at 9 a.m. and getting back on a plane at 2 p.m. to come home. This is how passionate I am about this now. Carrie from Homestead How has been amazing in helping me. He's done two interviews with me. He's just been amazing at helping me get over the fear of getting my story out and being public about this. Because I was so introverted for so long because of the disease. I was really such an introvert, and so I'm getting over that. And I want to public speak. I want to get to as many meetups as possible and get in front of people and share my story. I started a fundraiser to eventually open an actual place where, if you're in a situation that I was and you can't feel that you can't do this on your own, but you want to do this, I'm going to open a facility in the middle of the mountains where you can come and do that. And if you need 3 weeks, if you need a month to kickstart this new life, like I will be there and hold your hand and hand feed you meat every day until you realize this is what you need. And so that's my new main focus in life now, is like I have a purpose now. I never really had a purpose because I didn't believe in a future. So now that I have a future, like I want to give back to the world, and just share this amazing thing that is so easy and simple.
This is only really the fact that you said to the doctor, I don't like these drugs. I don't want to be on all these drugs. Because if you'd taken one and it had given you that slight improvement, just a slight improvement, just a slight bit of relief, you might not have discovered this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, and I certain places I try to share this, that there's people who are on those drugs just tear into me, and I'm like, look, I'm here trying to help you not be on these drugs for the rest of your life. You're a scam artist. This is a scam. This is you're you're selling something. You're scam. I'm like, I'm literally pouring my soul out to you guys and trying to help. And it's just there's so much of the world that is just brainwashed by the system, and I don't blame them. I'm not mad at them. I understand. I get it. Like, but like, if I can crack open those closed minds, you know, those are the ones. And yeah, I'm glad I didn't do that because I would have ended up probably like one of them and never found the actual solution to an actual real happy existence on this planet. Because those drugs being on them, you're not getting this. You're not getting this. This is real. This is yeah. This is 100% me and 100% real. And there's no suppressant drug running through my system doing this for me. This is me and God and the world. This is real. So yeah, glad I didn't do that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
how can people get in contact with you? How can people support this mission?
So basically, I started an Instagram page where I show the changes that I went through. I didn't have a lot of before photographs of the gnarly stuff because I didn't want to take photographs of it. But at one point, I was like, I have to have photographs of this, so I forced myself to take some pictures. And so my Instagram page is carnivore underscore healing underscore retreat. Um, and on that page, you can find links to all my interviews. And you can find my daily uploads as to what I'm doing, as to what I'm eating, the types of, people I'm sharing information with. And then as far as the GoFundMe, I believe it's gofundme.com/carnivore healing retreat. I believe I set it up that way. But yeah, if you can share, I don't, you don't have to donate. I could care less if you donate. Like, I just want people to share, um, share my story and share the fact that there's healing out there, and it's not through some crazy medical system that's just going to take your money and take your life at some point.
Yeah. So I'll link to those in the show notes. Lash, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you having me and letting me share. Like, anyone who'll listen, it's a blessing for me to be able to talk to. And the more this goes, the more people it'll help, and the more people they can help. And like I always say, I don't think Michaela realizes how many lives she's actually saved. And her and I at some point are going to have a podcast as well, and I'll be able to hug her and thank her for saving my life. And yeah, just let's get the word out. And I thank you for having this platform for people like me to come on and share. And God bless you for doing it. Thank you.